In talking about knowing who you are, it helps you to come to terms with three things. Number one, you have strength. Number two, you have weaknesses. And number three, you have limitations. And everybody has those three things. Everyone on earth has strength, limitations, and weaknesses. So that doesn't make you incompetent. You are superior to somebody, at the same time inferior to that person. I'm sitting here, there are experiences in my life that makes me superior to you. And there are things in your lives that make you superior to me. Like, I count on some of you to teach me things. I'm that humble to know that I can learn from anybody, because I don't know it all. So I'm limited in certain areas, and you're also limited in certain areas. So don't let people use your weaknesses or limitation to limit you in life. That's where I'm going. That you have weaknesses and limitations does not make you limited. You are going to be faced with things that you cannot do. It's just practically impossible. And what do you do in those kind of situations? Move on with life. It's part of life. Focus on what you can do instead of getting depressed over what you cannot do. Because when you focus on what you cannot do, you take away your energy, your time, the resources to do what you can do, and you put yourself in a position of unhappiness. But when you focus on what you can do, you motivate yourself to see a positive part of you. When I have a lot of tasks, I don't go to what is going to overwhelm me. I do the ones that are very easy for me first, so that I can have a positive energy to do the rest. When you start with what is difficult, then it makes everything difficult. When you're focused on difficulty, then your life will become difficult. So always understand this as you journey towards the discovery of your purpose, that you will always, is always going to be there. It's part of life. You will always have limitations, weaknesses, and strength. And the assignment I want you to do is to write 5 strengths that you think you have, 5 weaknesses that you think you have, and 5 limitations that are around you. Limitations technically may not be something that you have control over. Some of our limitations comes to our lives based on association. Some limitation you have because you are in the US and there are certain things you cannot do. Some limitations you have because of your family background, of your finance, of the state where you live in, and different things like that. So look in your life and look at things that you normally would have loved to do, but you cannot do them because of limitations. And limitations can be transient, they can be permanent. For strengths and weaknesses, those should be personal things. And when you understand your strengths and your weaknesses, it helps you to choose your friends wisely. If you are weak in certain areas and you surround yourself with weak people, the only thing you can get is weakness. For instance, if you're weak in mathematics and when you sit in class, you sit with all those people that have negative approach to that subject, guess what? You will never be motivated. But when you go around people that are strong in those areas, they will motivate you, they will encourage you, you will learn from them. And that's why I'm establishing this, because it's very important to the next phase of our conversation. On your path to purpose, there are oppositions that you are going to face in life. Granted, you've been able to discover your identity and you already know who you are, you're not confused about who you are. There will still be issues, people, situations, circumstances that will want to challenge your knowledge of yourself, that want to undermine you, that want to make you feel like you're not good enough. And I'm talking about real life to us now. And when you understand that, it helps you to be prepared. Many people have failed, not because they don't know who they are, or not because they don't know their purpose, but because they are not aware of all these factors. And when those things confront them, they give up on themselves. And I'm going to tell us two stories about two people that are of my mentors. I have a lot of mentors. Most of my mentors are dead people because I'm able to read the whole story of their lives. I still have mentors that are alive, but you don't know how they're going to end their lives. And if they are the only mentors you have in your life, the day they fail, then you get depressed, you get disappointed, then you feel like you cannot succeed. Because I can learn objectively their weaknesses, their strengths, their limitations, why they fail, why they succeeded, because their story is complete. Joseph, that's one of my main mentors. And he motivates me, challenges me. He still lives currently for me in my life. His life is current, it's relevant. And the other one is David. And I picked those two for our discussion this evening because those two actually lived a purposeful life. They lived for something. They left a legacy. One lived perfectly in terms of this human standards. But if you look critically at his life, you will find weaknesses there. And David, despite all his flaws, his purpose was intact. He made sure that he didn't give up on his purpose. And he faced a lot of oppositions. I mean, one thing that both of them dealt with in their lives is how to overcome familiar spirits. Both of them had to deal with familiar spirits. When you discover who you are and you take a stand to live the life that you have discovered, that this is who I am, you will be surprised that people that you thought would be happy and excited for you will be the one that will work against you. The reality is that people that you think would be happy for your success are actually the ones that will want to sabotage you. So looking at the life of David, it's important that I read the scripture so that we have an understanding of some of the lessons. 1 Samuel 17:26-31. So David, who was talking to the men standing around him, asked, "What's in it for the man who kills the Philistine and gets rid of this ugly blot on Israel's honor? Who does he think he is anyway? This uncircumcised Philistine taunting the armies of God alive." They told him what everyone was saying about what the king would do for the man who killed the Philistine. Eliab, his older brother, heard David fraternizing with the men and lost his temper. So listen to what Eliab said. "What are you doing here? Why aren't you minding your own business, tending that scrawny flock of sheep? I know what you're up to. You've come down here to see the sights, hoping for a ringside seat at a bloody battle. What is it with you?" replies David. "All I did was ask a question." Ignoring his brother, he turned to someone else and asked the same question and got the same answer as before. David knew he had a call beyond what his family have relegated him to be. We all know the story when Samuel was trying to anoint the king. It was God that really helped him. Because if God was not on his side, he was not part of the people that they even put their name on the ballot. It was more like an election. So it was not even shortlisted. But God said, "I have a plan for you. I have a purpose for you." And he crossed that hurdle, right? And then he went to the battlefield because he knew that there was something about him that these people have not discovered. Nobody knew his experience in killing the lion and the bear. So nobody knew all those things that he have been through. Like some of you here, I may not even know what you've been through. But within you, the experience you have had over the years privately has helped you to build confidence. And because people have not had your experience, they want to treat you based on their own experience. Do not allow people to cage you in their own experience. Your experience is always going to be different. Even if you're twins, it will be different. So the brother, I don't want to say he was a bad person, but at the same time, I want to say he had that familiar spirit, like, I know who you are. And based on my knowledge and understanding of you, this is who you ought to be. And you don't belong here. So in terms of military tactics, the training and everything that was required, David was not even sent to school. The brothers were sent to the school of Saul. They were enrolled in school. They were trained to learn how to use the weapons of war and all that. This was somebody that nobody was going to pay for his education. So he self-educated himself. So when Paul gave him the pen to write, he didn't know how to write. That's the literal way I could interpret the encounter he had with Saul. Was somebody that have never been to school before, and now you're asked to deliver a speech, and Saul gave him something to write with to write his speech. He couldn't write a formal speech, but he knew his experience, and that was what they couldn't take away from him. There are certain things in your life that you cannot afford to let anybody take away from you. What familiar spirit does is to try to deflate your confidence. So David didn't even pay the man any attention, because the man kind of was rude, was undermining, was condescending. Some people are very sensitive. The moment you say something negative, it kills their spirit. Do not be that person. Doesn't matter what people have to say. That's their opinion. And the cheapest commodity you will find on earth is opinion. It's cheap. You don't have to buy it. And everybody has an opinion of who you're supposed to be. Guess what? At the end of the day, you decide who you ought to be. So when Eliab confronted him, David didn't pay him attention. He was still in the pursuit of his purpose. Because he was on a path, on a journey to purpose. So what the brother asked today was not relevant. He has so much confidence because he has had an experience that nobody else could relate with but him. The other person I want to talk about tonight is Joseph. Faced the same thing. He was kind of different from that of David in a way. He had a dream, but he didn't understand the dream. And as at that time when he was sharing his dreams with the brothers, he didn't have the gift of interpretation of dreams. He acquired that gift later. Because if he understood the interpretation of dreams, he would guard that dream. Because he was very careless with the dream. He was telling his brothers, I saw the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowing to me. And they hated him because of his dreams. People will hate you because of your dreams. Nobody really wants you to be better than them. Always understand that people like you when you're on the same level with them. The moment you make a decision to do something better with your life, be ready to fight. The first spirit is familiar spirit. 4 things you need to take away. Number 1, you have to believe in yourself. I know you've gone on a journey to discover your identity. You have to believe in yourself. If nobody believes in you, you have to believe in yourself. Number 2, don't expect people to understand your purpose or passion. When you stay on that point in your life, waiting for people to understand your purpose, you will never make any headway. you will never progress. So don't have that expectation that people should understand, because when you have expectation that they should understand, then you have that expectation that they should support your purpose or your passion or your dream. And when you don't get the support that you're expecting, you are not motivated to pursue your purpose. And that's why many are stuck. I don't want you guys to be stuck in life. And one of the way to prevent that is do not have expectation from anybody. The reason why people are disappointed, the reason why people have bitterness, the reason why people have unforgiveness is because of expectation. I probably think I need to kind of talk to you guys more on expectation at some point. When you don't have expectation, you are not going to be disappointed. When you don't have expectation, you are not going to be bitter. Like people you meet on the street, because you don't have expectation from them, there's nothing they really do, I mean, for a sane person that will really get you mad to that extent of becoming bitter or, you know, having all these negative ill feelings. We have the tendency of taking certain relationship for granted, and based on that, we expect them to deliver certain things. And guess what? Some of the things you're expecting from them, they don't have it. It's not that they don't want to give it to you. They don't. But many of them are very hypocritical. They present things to you in a way to make them look like they are all that. They cover their weaknesses. And you assume that they are strong. And because of your assumptions, you develop expectations. And now when you place demand, they're looking at you like, what are you talking about? I don't have what you are asking for. Somebody that have not experienced love cannot show love. What I don't have, I cannot give. So do not have expectation from people to understand your journey. But your journey is your journey. Your path is your path. It's not your dad's path. It's not your mom's path. It's yours. If you're walking on a path that is clear, it means that you're walking on another man's purpose. If the trail has been blazed, then you're not a trailblazer. You're a follower. To be a trailblazer, you have to clear your own path. The third thing is, do not give up on your pursuit. It may take you 5 years. It may take you 50 years. But do not give up. And don't compare yourself to other people. Their journey is different from your journey. And you don't know what they are dealing with as well. So focus on yourself and do not give up. Don't let quitting be in your dictionary. The moment you have that conviction that this is what you want to do and you have the passion for it, then go for it. Give it all that is going to take. And lastly, be determined. It takes a determined mind to achieve purpose.